Hey guys, it's Sean here with the Family Outdoors. Today we're going to start a new series. It's called Opening Up. So basically what I'm going to do is watch some of my silent style films with you guys and add commentary and different aspects of what I was thinking, why I did what I did, and just basically have a talk through of the video with you for the guys that like the more vocal videos or wondering why I chose to do what I did. And I think this will help shed light on a lot of the comments and the different things that people were questioning with the videos. So for this particular camp, this is our island camp, and this is the first time, I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. This is the first time that I had done anything to do with the water in terms of filming and getting out there. So this was my very first canoe trip. My experience with a canoe isn't all that great, and it probably comes through and shows in the footage. Everything from how I packed the canoe to, just basically paddling it. I had very little experience at this time, and this is a big lake where this island is. It's Chip Lake, Alberta. A lot of you might be familiar with that particular location because of Carmat Wilderness Ways, who do a lot out that way in, near, and around the island. Very close to it. You'll hear Morsko Chansky talking about it quite a bit. But anyways, we're here on the island. At this point, we finally get there. You see a picture of a raft. So somebody had built a raft at some point in time and drugged that sucker out there, rowed it out there. However they did it, I'm not sure, but I thought that was pretty cool. My eye caught that from a distance, and I'll be 100% honest, from looking at it from so far away, I thought that there was another individual that potentially could be camping on the island, which really surprised me. It's a pretty remote place, and I mean, it's not so far removed in the wilderness. We got the Trans-Canada Highway that literally parallels the lake, and tons of different access points to the lake and stuff, but it is extremely shallow. So this, kills the skiers, tubers, that kind of stuff. Basically, if you go out on that lake, you're going to fish, and in the summertime, all the times I went fishing out there, I never encountered anybody at all. It was hardly anybody out there. Winter is a completely different story. There's literally a fishing village out there during the winter. I call it Tent City because everybody drags out their ice fishing huts and trailers and all this kind of stuff, and you have that out there all the time, that every winter it's very busy for ice fishing. But anyways, I finally got to the island here at this point, and this is after probably an hour and 30 minutes of rowing at this point. And I'm a little bit tired for sure. Like I said, I don't do much with that stuff, and all of a sudden I'm using muscles I didn't know I had, right? So there's a few little things like that always factor into the trip too. But so I'm just unpacking my gear. You'll notice I have a lot. And again, to quote Morris Kohansky, the more you know, the less you carry. I don't know anything at all about canoe camping. So I made sure I had my bases covered. I knew that there was some adverse weather coming in, and I didn't know how long I would be on that island before I could get off. Because it is such a large lake, it doesn't require much wind for it to get really choppy and really rough, and to have, the white cap waves and stuff like that. So I prepared that if I had to be stranded there for twice as long as I planned on being there, I would still be okay. I brought a dry bag, with extra clothes in it and stuff in case, the unforeseen happened or whatever like that, and I ended up going swimming. But I brought quite a plethora of gear on this one, just simply because I didn't know, and I wanted to, at the very least, make sure I was prepared. So you can see when we do these silent style films, I tried to be very sequential with the filming. everything I do, I try to have, you know, 3 or 4 different shots of that angle and then edit it all together and try to make something that's more of a movie format, rather than just having your camera back here and filming. And you'll see I often have things like those trees and stuff in the way, just add something different to the video. It's just a different aspect of it. I did get a little bit of slack for the title of this video, because especially in the first episode, because I called it I don't even remember, solo remote or solo bushcraft and wild camping on a remote island in the Canadian wilderness, something like that. And I had brought a hammock and stuff like that to sleep in. Again, I had no idea the conditions. I knew that bushcraft with living materials was not an option on this island, because this is all like a nature reserve here. So that's big changes for me, right? That means no guns. I can't even remember when I went into the wilderness without a firearm. It's just something that I always do. But for this particular camp, it was not an option. You can't have that stuff out there. So that meant like no squirrel hunting, you know, harvesting of small game of any sort like that. It's which was a drastic change for me for my living off the land style camps and whatever like that. So I brought a lot of food. I brought some gear like a hammock and all that kind of stuff. But because I had bushcraft in the title, and I didn't get to any bushcraft in this first episode, I took a bit of slack for that. The reason that I do that is I like, when I make a series, I want to have this series called the same thing, with the exception of part 1, part 2, part 3, so on and so forth. So days 2, 3, and 4, I did at least one bushcraft project each one of those days. So I wasn't going to rename a series because of one day, if that makes sense. I didn't utilize anything, you know, green wood or anything like that. It was strictly dead wood bushcraft, low impact, so that, you know, I played within the rules and the parameters of that particular area. So even something like going through like this and setting up the hammock and stuff, it takes a long time. I don't think people realize when you are trying to film this stuff and you're trying to film multiple angles for everything that you do, you are probably spending 2/3 of your time trying to get the shots, moving the cameras around, all that kind of stuff, as opposed to if you were just to go out there and throw up a hammock and a tarp and whatever, you know, a couple minutes you're done. And instead that couple minutes, you know, that turns well over an hour by the time you're done with it, moving everything around and stuff. This particular hammock is a jungle style hammock with the netting. Again, one of the big reasons why I took it, and I'm happy I did take it as opposed to if it was an area where I could do a solid bushcraft camp, is one thing in Canada that cannot be underestimated are the mosquitoes. And let me tell you, there were a lot of them on them islands out there. Completely surrounded by water and all the alcoves and stuff that are a perfect breeding place for the mosquitoes. It was just a nightmare at times out there. It's bad for filming, but good for you when the wind picks up. And regardless, it was, you know, it was an awesome trip, but that's why I chose that hammock, was specifically for the bug net. It's also why you will see here in a little bit, 7 hours later when I get to it, that why I chose to put an underquilt on. The underquilt wasn't there for warmth so much as it was to prevent mosquitoes from trying to bite me underneath the hammock. This is my off-request safari tarp for those that are wondering that I'm putting on there now. It's a great tarp. We've used it a lot in a multitude of different camps, different tent configurations. Use it for the hammock lots. It's a really durable tarp. I've had this thing for years and I've drug it around everywhere. It was important to me that I tried to get the tarp as tight as possible, although it was pretty well the full length in between the trees even when it was set up in the smallest configuration. That's the reason I couldn't set up the diamond tight ply that I usually use, and I had to go with this one because I needed it to be really tight. I knew that it gets windy there. I was on the western side, northwest tip basically of the island, and it can get really breezy through there, as you've seen if you watch through the whole series, that the wind can really blow through there, and part of preserving your tarp and keeping it good is making sure when you put it up you've got it tight. It's my tent glow-in-the-dark sleeping bag. That one's rated for -10, I believe. I use it on a lot of adventures just because it can go small enough. It's a cheap sleeping bag. I don't have expensive gear. It's just, I don't feel that it's necessary to go out into the woods and enjoy yourself while spending thousands of dollars. You can get by with a lot less for sure. So again, in my left hand there's my dry bag full of all my extra clothes and stuff like that in case the canoe, I run into a problem with the canoe flipping over or something like that. Cold steel trail box axe is what I took on that adventure, and you can see the Boreal 21 saw there. Again, this is a cheap underquilt that I got on Amazon. I believe it's called Barbarian or something like that, but cheap. It's very, very cheap. Does the job. I mean, I've stayed in there at freezing or right near around freezing, maybe -1, -2, and I was warm. They make a massive difference. I mean, you can't even you can't compare it. It's amazing what they can do. Again, these are all B-roll shots. You spend a lot of time taking these silly little clips like this of the sun behind the trees, but your B-roll shots make or break your video too. I think it's very important to make sure you take your time and grab some B-roll shots and mix them in there. They're also good too when you're trying to do sequential filming. If you're just frustrated or whatever and you need a break, you can put that B-roll shot in there and it's like starting fresh again, right? Here in the Boreal, when it comes to fire, we're lucky we don't need to mess around. Like, you can grab these spruce twigs like that, grab a little bit bigger fuel from the ground, but the spruce twigs, like, you just snap it off all in one bundle of the dead branch, and you've got all your sizes of kindling right up to small fuel, so it makes lighting a fire really quick, efficient, easy. You don't have to sit there and play around, adding this size stick, the next size stick, the next size stick, the next, and in 15 minutes you finally got a fire that you can walk away from. With this, you frickin' light it and you can walk away sometimes in less than a minute if you're prepared and you got everything there. Birch bark, again, is the go-to in the Boreal. It's the lazy man's fire. It's so easy to work with and play around with, and takes a spark real well, stuff like that. It's easy to process, so I mean, that's a go-to for sure. I don't know anybody where birch bark is available that's not their go-to. It's important, like, to obviously practice your fire lighting methods with other means. You might end up in a location where you don't have birch. So I mean, using fatwood and you know, old man's beard, cattail, different things like that is all important to increase and grow your skills. Can be a bit tricky at times when you're doing this too, like your fire lighting and stuff, and I don't have a ton of cameras, so usually I might have my big camera, and if I'm feeling really ambitious, a GoPro going. But I really don't like the audios for the GoPro, so I usually use them for specific kind of things, which means I am moving my main camera around a lot. When you're doing these shots like this of trying to film a fire, you're pretty near running your butt off because you've only got so much time at different stages of the fire, which is why it's nice to kind of do the lazy man fire. But with something like the Kelly kettle like this, you can't just do that, get the birch bark to take a spark and throw on there this big lump of branches and throw your fuel on and you're done. So it was a lot more trickier. There was a lot of running that you don't see off screen to get those shots like that. This fire was lit for one reason only, and that was to get a bunch of coals going, and you can see what I'm doing there, trying to grab the smoke and waft it over myself. That's, to me, by far the most effective way to keep away mosquitoes is use the smoke. And if you get a good coal base going, then you throw some punky wood on there, some stuff like that to create smoke and make a smudge. It's an old farmer thing, right? You used to always smudge the horses and stuff. Well, it works for you too. So that's the GoFlow water filter, which is just a camp lifesaver. It just keeps you from running back and forth to the lake over and over. Sure, a guy can go and just fill up your pot, boil the water, you know, but sometimes you want to just go enjoy yourself, and you can fill up that big 10-liter pack, and that's a lot of water. 10 liters is a lot of water, but I would essentially fill that thing every day. That shows you how much water you consume and how much water you use in between doing your dishes and cooking and just consumption in general, right? See, again, you can see I'm not so great with the canoe, right? I'm kind of dancing around, the canoe's moving, but you know, there's only one way to get better at stuff, and that's just by doing it. I always made sure to have my life jacket and stuff on when I went out, and I did even the simple things of trying to get water and whatever like that. I know a lot of people probably laugh at that or figure what for, but again, a big part about doing anything in the wilderness is to understand your skill levels and play within them. And canoeing definitely isn't a strong skill level for me, so I got to play with certain safety features, right? You can kind of see in the background there weather moving in and stuff. Oh, it was just a beautiful camp. So many different things I've never really got to experience before, like watching the weather roll in from such a distance away again. So this is the Grail water purifier. Again, that's another container I use. It's awesome for trips like this because you can be just out there rowing, stop, grab that thing, scoop up some water, compress it. Uh, yeah, and you've got good, clean drinking water, you know. So it's again, that's another one of the pieces of gear or equipment or whatever that I chose to bring on this camp, just so I didn't always have to drink warm water. I like to drink some cool water, and getting it right out of the lake like that, it's nice and cool. So it's an excellent tool there to have with you, and not heavy either, right? So I mean, it's don't get me wrong, all that equipment adds up, but at the same time, it was kind of a perk of having the canoe because I didn't have to carry all of it. I just threw it in the canoe and I could take it, you know, little bit by little bit to the camp, which, you know, was only 50 feet in from the shore, maybe 50 to 75. Had a nice little dock with the log laying here. See, even so, something as simple as hanging up this bag, you know, changing camera angles, yada yada yada, trying to make, you know, a little bit more pleasant of a viewing experience. So that's the Sawyer Mini, is what I use on the end of the gravity bag. I find it does a great job, suits that purpose really well. You've seen a lot of camps already where I've elected to use this. My wild camping location, I think I used it for every one of them videos, as I was quite a hike away from the water, so it was nice that I could go fill up that bag, and it just saves you so much calories when you're, you know, already running back and forth all day with the camera. So there's the Boreal 21. Again, that's a great folding pack saw that's in a bow saw style, right? It packs away nice, so it's easy to keep in your bag, the blades protected, all that kind of stuff. Kind of a neat, easy way, if you choose to bring extra blades for that particular saw in case that one should break. You can leave the little cover on that it comes with, and you put it in between your hip and your belt. So essentially it's tucked away in there, it's hidden, it's not uncomfortable. Great place to pack and store that blade. Again, I believe that was a trick I learned from one of Morris Bohanski's books. It was actually really dense spruce. It took quite a bit of sawing to get through. You can tell I was getting tired doing the old double hand, which is not effective at all. I really like this cold steel Trail Boss axe too. I know one of our main viewers loves the cold steel products, but really dislikes that axe. And I've never really talked to him at length about it, but I really am a fan of the axe. I've used that over and over, and I've never had any problems with it. So this is a different technique for splitting the firewood. Something like this I'll do often if I'm really remote. And the idea that I do it that way is I cannot, literally impossible for me to chop myself. The axe would not physically be able to go through the extra log there. So things like glancing off the side of the log, uh, you don't have to worry about them kind of things, right? Another technique you could do it is just to be on your knees. So if something like that did happen, you would bury the axe head into the ground as opposed to it coming towards you. So things that probably aren't even thought about when people watch this video the first time. I'm happy I'm doing this because I can kind of bring light to why I do what I do or why I chose that method. And this one here is strictly safety, that's it. It's also quite an effective means to split wood too. Not everything has to be down over the top of the log. And we were using the birch bark there. The knife that I'm using is a Puma. I really like that knife. My wife bought me that absolutely beautiful knife. Just takes a spark so easy, you know, a couple strokes on the striker. Usually it takes just one, but I mean, you get a fire going quickly, and the birch bark is amazing stuff. Again, these are the spruce twigs I was talking about. Like, you light your birch bark, you throw them twigs on there, and right away you're already moving up to fuel. It's just quick to get a fire going, you know. You spend more time moving the cameras around and stuff than you do to actually do what you're doing. Should have stopped that previous scene a bit earlier. That's some crappy editing. So you can see kind of in the bottom left of that screen there, that's my bear bowl, which is actually part of my EDC. I carry that little sucker with me every day. It folds flat, very similar to a wallet, and that way I always have a container with me. So you know, just a little tidbit there. If you guys watch my EDC video, you would have probably seen that in there. Actually, I believe that was an EDC for the woods video, so it doesn't exactly match my everyday carry for, you know, being out and about, but the bowl was still included in my EDC. See, even when I sit around the fire for a little bit, I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You could leave me some feedback down in the comments there so I know for future filming, but even when I take a bit of a break like that, I've decided to film that from different angles to show that when you go out, it's not always, you know, gathering food, getting water, doing firewood, uh, you know, processing stuff, bushcraft. There are times too where you just sit and chill for a minute, that you just take that opportunity to have a bit of a break and some water intake and stuff like that. So I've decided, you know, in a lot of my later filming to add that in there to show the importance of just taking a minute for yourself and recuperating. I find it's great. There are times when you do this because the filming aspect is so important when you're trying to make YouTube videos, uh, where you can run out of time quite quickly, and you know there's certain things that you have to have done by nightfall, right? But if you don't film it all, you don't get a video, and if you don't film it decently, nobody watches it anyways. It's hard enough to get people to watch even when you put all your time and effort into doing the videos. So I mean, there are times your frustration can start to run high when you're running at a light and you're running around. You know, you got to do all this other stuff still, and it's amazing how if you stop for a minute like that it just helps keep you in the right mindset, that you understand that being frustrated is not going to make anything happen any quicker or any better. It's always good to have that good positive attitude when you're out in the woods and not get yourself into that state of running around and being frustrated. This is one of my cook set. I believe this is a woods cook set again, a cheap wood cooking set that I had picked up. But I mean, man, I've took that thing out on a lot of different camping adventures, and you know, nests all tight together. I've got everything in there. It's really a nice set for when you're cooking a little bit more lavishly, I guess is the word I'll go with. Again, a lot of this is all it's all food brought from home, right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong, all the meat and stuff is still, that's all harvested from our hunting season. We don't buy meat. You know, we have raised chickens, and we hunt for the rest of it. So, I mean, there's no going to the store and buying steak or anything like that. It just, what we harvest is what we eat. Same with the peas and stuff from the garden, right? The corn would have been bought though. We don't grow corn, so that would have been frozen corn out of the freezer. My cheap little $20 billy can. You know that that's still my favorite billy can. I've got the oh, whatever them other billy cans are called. I use it on top of the firebox stove or whatever I have that's called there, and it's got the trays so I can make bread and all that stuff. I still prefer this billy can to that one. So steak right on the coals, right? Best way I find to do it anyways. I mean, each their own. There's a multitude of different ways to do it. One thing that I didn't do here that I usually do every other time is to, lightly smoke the stuff before I cook it and whatever. Like you see my wild camp location there where we got everything all set up, and we got the smoking tripod and stuff. I've always got my meat sitting up there in the smoke and whatever. But unfortunately, this camp, it's just something different rather than the same thing all the time. I just kind of skipped that. So this is a pretty luxurious meal, for me out in the woods. Usually I try to do the living off the land stuff where you've seen videos of me where I'll go out for a shorter trip, 4 or 5 days, and eat nothing but squirrels because that's all I'm able to get. Well, that's you know lots of my camps are like that, and sometimes it's nice to have these more glamping trips where you can indulge a little bit and eat good. And camera doesn't really do it justice, but it was such a beautiful area there that the moss on everything and stuff, it felt really alive. It was just an absolutely beautiful area. There's not much, to be said about these scenes. Eating is eating. I guess the only thing that I would talk about in terms of that I've got a few different comments on is that using the same knife to, process food, to do the bushcraft stuff, to cut my steak like I'm gonna do here after it's been cooked. I've got a few comments and stuff on that of people telling me, look, that's not very hygienic, or you shouldn't be doing that, you could get sick. I guess my only response to that would be is I have done that my whole life and I have never got sick. I've never nothing. So I don't know. I guess helps me build an immune system. I'm not even sure really what to say about it other than I've done it frequently and I've never got sick. That doesn't mean it couldn't happen in the future, but luckily to this point I haven't. I do try to clean my stuff from time to time, even if it is just with dirty, swampy lake water, you know what I mean? And then when I boil water and stuff at the end of the night, or lots of times when I do dishes, I'll just rinse off directly in the lake, and then I'll boil water and wipe everything back down with the boiled water. But it's you try to do a little bit of cleaning stuff anyways. The other thing I've started to do with these camps too now, after I was getting fairly frustrated with the filming and all that kind of stuff, I felt that YouTube was kind of taking away my desire to be out in the woods and doing these things, because it just kind of turned it into work. You were always filming, you were always running around, you never really had a minute to stop and enjoy yourself. And so I started to pull the plug at a certain point, unless there was something specific that could only be shown at nighttime. I started to just pull the plug and be like, nope, I'm going to eat supper, and after supper is my time. I'm not going to film anymore. I'm not going to anything like that. I'm going to use that time to just enjoy myself, maybe practice a skill or try something new that I haven't done before. Just simple things like that, and I found that went a long way to helping me enjoy my time in the woods, right? See, shots like this, really, a guy could probably leave out too, but what I'm doing with these, like filming a sequence like this, is to show that if I'm out there with this specific equipment, sleeping bags, stuff like that, for a longer extended period of time, I find it's very important to be changing from whatever you wear during the day to something different at night, so that you're not dragging a bunch of dirt and particulate and moisture and stuff like that into your sleeping equipment. It makes a big difference for how comfortable and clean and stuff you feel when you go to bed. So everything that I took off, I hang back up so that it can really air out. It's very important to do that with your sleeping bags too, that you should open that sucker right back up during the day and let the airflow get to it, because whether you realize it or not, that sleeping bag is getting a little bit more damp every night, and that's from the difference of your body temperature and the outside air. It'll make kind of like a mild condensate or whatever, that your sleeping bag will start to feel more and more damp. You realize this a lot more for those of you who ever do like cold weather camping, where it's snowing and cold and stuff like that. There are a lot more drastic temperature swing between the outside of your bag and the inside of the bag, so that can really get that feeling damp even as quick as in a couple nights. So it's important, even in the dead of winter, to bring that sucker out and air it out. So that's kind of it for this. I'm going to just pause it here. And just thank you guys for joining me along for this kind of second part to this video. I really enjoy doing this. I like to give the explanations of why I did whatever, and have just a bit of a chat with you as we watch this. So now I'm going to just let the video go. I will close this commentary box out of it at this point, and let the video continue with what I had to say during that stay for this night. But thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope this might have answered some of the questions and stuff that were had about the video and just me in general. So until part 2 of the series, we'll see you later. Well guys, that's it for video 1. This is going to be a multi-part video again. I hope you guys have enjoyed the first part of this video. We're out here on an island in the middle of a lake. We canoed out here and decided to have a hammock camp in complete isolation. So you guys can see the setup there.
Brought the hammock, got an underquilt on it, as it is still dropping to just a few degrees above freezing. So it's been getting pretty chilly, but regardless, I wanted to come out and just basically be by myself, do another solo camp. I've always wanted to come out to this island, I just never have, so it was a perfect opportunity for me to explore that and you know, take the canoe out. I know on this channel I have done very little to do with the water, you know, canoeing, anything like that, fishing. So this trip is going to be unique in the sense that it's the first time I have displayed that sort of material on this channel. So it's been a long time really since I've been out on a solo camp. It hasn't been since I did that solo bushcraft in the cold Canadian wilderness or something like that. The one that Owl Cabin requested that I do an overnight complete bushcraft style. It happened to be winter, so obviously it was a winter bushcraft one. And so yeah, it feels good to be out again solo. This again is going to be a silent film like that one was, except for I will talk at the end of every episode, kind of give brief explanations on what happened. So I canoed out here, I canoed around the island, found the only spot that wasn't full of brambles and thorns and whatever, and set up camp. That's basically the nitty-gritty of it. I didn't have much else to do today. By the time I, you know, paddled out here, it actually was quite a jaunt. Not sure exactly how far it is, but it was quite a ways. And then by the time I got out here and set everything up, made some supper, that was pretty well the day. I didn't even go out and do any fishing or anything of that sort, but I'll get around to that in one of the other episodes. So I'm not going to go through all the gear and stuff that I brought. I mean, you guys will see it in the episodes. If you have any questions about any of the gear or anything, any questions in general, just drop them down in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you in a timely manner. I want to take the time to thank everybody for watching the Bushcraft Treehouse series. It means a lot to my son. He's put a lot of effort into that one. He's kind of grabbed that whole project by the reins and he's just going with it. So, you know, that's awesome to see that. A lot of mosquitoes here, man. It's awesome to see that he's, you know, accepted that and is really rolling away on it hard. I mean, I absolutely love that. That's fantastic. The project is coming along really good, but I just wanted to give my thanks myself from me, not from Cameron, but from me, for everybody who's tuned into that series and has been watching that one. That means a lot. I know it means a lot to Cameron. He's put in a lot of effort, so thank you. And last but certainly not least, I want to give a big shout out to the Outdoor McGee. I've nailed him in a tag video there before, so a lot of you might already be familiar with his content and have went over to his channel, but if you haven't already, go check this guy out. Awesome content. Really enjoys his channel. Very much different than mine in the sense that he's funny. He's outgoing, he's funny, he's very charismatic, you know, a real people person kind of personality. And I'm sure a lot of you would absolutely enjoy his channel if you're not there already. To go check that out. I mean, the guy puts out awesome content. He's dedicated to YouTube. He does a lot of cool stuff from, oh man, everything he does. Everything from bushcraft, you know, general camping, building shelters, everything. He really does do a lot. So go check out his content. Very good stuff. And I want to thank him too, of course. He gave me a shout out not too long ago. And, you know, thanks to him and to the people who have you know, come over and checked out our channel because of him. That means a lot to us, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. I know right now we kind of got a lot going on. We've got the Bushcraft treehouse, which is really different kind of than our other material, but different in a good way. I'm really happy with that series. Then of course you're going to get the silent films when I come out and I do these kind of camps and stuff myself. I'm trying to keep the rambling at the end of the video because I don't want to disappoint the people that are there to watch a silent video. So I only talk at the end of the video. Them guys that just want to see the silent stuff, they can jump ship and they're gone, and you know, everybody's kind of happy with it in that regard. I'm really enjoying doing the solo silent film stuff, as it just is more, to be honest, it's just easier to focus on your camera angles and your filming and what you're doing and whatever. You don't kind of get caught in kind of that web of just rambling into the camera like I'm doing right now. And I mentioned there is a lot of bloody mosquitoes out here. This island hums, literally hums. It's like it's got a big transformer right in the middle of it, powering New York freaking city. The island's alive with mosquitoes. I'm gonna call it the island of the mosquito. So thank you for watching video 1. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I put a lot of effort into it. It was a long, full day. I'm gonna take the rest of the day now just for me time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And you know, we'll see you in the next one. Keep outdoors.